Good evening, and welcome to Thinking Re-Envisioned with the incomparable Henry G. Noel, or as I like to call it, paving the way to your peace of mind. Here's Henry.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Transitional Radio's Thinking Re-Envisioned. I appreciate you guys being here. The number 2 rated show on IPMNation.com. And I wish to thank all of our listeners for getting this show into that number 2 spot. I really appreciate it. My name is Henry G. Noel, and I am your host for Thinking Re-Envisioned. I wish to thank you for joining me this evening, on this Wednesday evening. And this is our actually 10th. Double digits, guys. We made it to the 10th show. And if I can ask a favor of you, could you please go to the Transitional Radio YouTube channel? The link, I went ahead and actually posted that this morning. So if you could, I would appreciate going to that link and then and subscribe. Reason being is that I want to really make sure that we can start putting the broadcasts and the rebroadcast on that channel. So I would appreciate that, and thank you so much for doing that. Now, we're broadcasting live this evening from our Uplink studios in beautiful Cuenca, Ecuador, 2 degrees south of the equator, where the girth of the earth, I guess, could give birth if we really think about it. We are broadcasting live on IPMNation.com and Thinking Re-Envisioned's YouTube and Facebook pages. And I wish to thank our listeners from all over the globe, from places like the United States and Ecuador, from Ireland, the United Kingdom, Colombia, Canada, New Zealand, from the Philippines, Germany, from Argentina, Mexico, the United Arab Emirates, from Australia, Denmark, Peru, Bangladesh, Belgium, Bulgaria, Switzerland, India, Kenya, the Netherlands, Pakistan, Uganda, Japan, Liberia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Brazil. Thank you all for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And to those listening to live radio, I appreciate you being on. And for those of the broadcast and you with the Fly on the Wall video listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and listening in. I'd also like to thank our good friends at Wirecast for making it possible for us to be broadcasting live this evening and globally. To all of our listeners who wish to participate in this show, email me at henry@henrygnoel.com. Now, we trust that you've had a good Wednesday so far, and I'd like to keep it that way. So, but before we get into the thread, I wanted to say hi and see what's on everybody and to see what's going on with everybody and what everybody has on their mind. I received a couple of email messages after last night's show, and one came from Joseph and one came from John. And I wanted to go ahead and cover what they had asked. So I will go ahead and address those once we get through this, and you guys can chime in and go from where we are. So we'll see how things go. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining us, and I appreciate it. So let's get into the, well, I don't have a live on Facebook here, so it's going to be hard to get into the thread, I guess. I see Mary had signed on, but it's not happening here. So I'm going to redo it and see what we got. Anyway, I'm going to keep on talking and see what happens. Joseph had sent a message last night, and it was just for something, something to think on, he said. And it's a quote he gave me from Theodore Lowy. Participation is an instrument of conquest because it encourages people to give their consent to being governed. Now, deeply embedded in people's sense of fair play is the principle that those who play the game must accept the outcome, and regardless, because you don't have the option. And so the whole point is that those who participate in the politics are similarly committed, even if they are consistently on the losing side. So why do politicians plead with everyone to get out and vote? Well, because voting is the simplest and easiest form of participation by masses of people. Even though it is minimal participation, it is sufficient to commit all voters to being governed, regardless of who wins. Now, the way I look at this is when you vote, and we have been taught this, and our belief systems push this, we are performing our patriotic and civic duty. I mean, that's why we vote, is because we're patriots and we're performing our duty. But the fact of the matter is, what you are actually doing when you vote is consenting to being governed, which is exactly what this Mr. Lowy was saying. So by voting, you are committing everyone, even those who choose not to vote, including those who can't vote, to the same fate of being governed. The political realm, the kingdom in Washington, D.C., has twisted the meaning of the vote from the reality of it being our consent to our patriotic duty. It is now the consent to be governed. So all of this means is you agree to be coerced and volunteer into the government of control. Anyway, that's what he wanted to send to me, and I appreciate that. And what he did was he put a point in there that said that there are 350 million citizens in the U.S. governed by 537 elected officials in the United States government. That's the Congress and the president and the vice president. That's a ratio of 651,770 to 1. So Joseph's point was stand up for what is right and be the example. And I like that. Right? To me, that's pretty cool. So anyway, and then John had said he had gone to. He says 30 minutes is enough. He said unless it's like a personal preference, 1 hour would be better, and even longer if you're up to it. He says it feels a bit rushed, and like as soon as you get started, it's time to end. He says just my opinion. He says thanks. He says thanks for all you do. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you're putting the input in there. And Marcia, I want to thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. You're on time. Wow. Like it's a surprise. You did it. You got here. Very happy to be able to follow the entire program. And Marcia, it is wonderful to have you here for the whole program. Let's see. And Mary says, video keeps conking out, and that could be us. We had a big storm here just before the show started, and it just stopped raining. So it's very possible, Mary, that's what's happening. Let's see. Oh, let me see if I can get you the link to the show here, Jamie. Okay. It would be. Good question. Let me see what the link is on this one exactly. It's hard since I don't have the video up, and it's hard to see what's going on. Let me see. I'll go ahead and have Wayne pop that into the thread if he can. Otherwise, let's see. Wait. I think if I can get it. No, I can't get it. Hold on. I will do it on this other computer. I got 2 computers working because of the sound from yesterday, and I think we figured it out. So I'll do it that way. I'm going to minimize. Yep. Let's see. Thinking revision. Okay. So it's all righty. Here it is. All right. No, the Facebook channel. Okay. We've got facebook.com. Okay. It's /Thinking Re-envisioned Official. Okay. So I'll try to type that in there for you and see if this will go. But it's let's see if we can get this up here. It's Facebook. Facebook.com /THINK Thinking. Yeah, let's see. Think and Re-envision Official. IAL. And that should do it. That should be it. I hope that I typed that all right, but that should be your link, and that'll get you there. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much, Jamie. I appreciate it. But yes, that should get you there. Anyway, I had posted the thing this morning was if anyone knows God's address, where does God live? And the point of all of that was to really take a solid look at what it is we believe in, the stuff that we believe in. The fact that we have 42,000 religions out there in the world. I mean, 4,200 religions. I'm sorry, 4,200 religions. And to me, I was curious as to, which one is right? I mean, are any of them right? Is one of them right? Or none of them right? And so what I wanted to do was to bring up the topic and to throw out a concept that I have spent a lot of years working on because I was raised a Catholic, and I have left that a long time ago. But with 4,200 religions in the world today, to me, which one is right? And so what I ended up researching and going through and coming to my own conclusions was God wasn't a religion or if a supreme being. If you believe in a supreme being and a God or whatever the case may be, it wasn't a religion. Whatever it was not a religion. It simply was a supreme being or a God or spirit. And then all of a sudden we have all of these churches, all of these synagogues, and all of these mosques preaching the word of God. And it comes through 3 different books. All 3 are different. And I can't figure out how one God, the creator, would come up with 3 different concepts. Well, just for those 3 major religions, but all of the religions having all their own different beliefs and their own different breakdowns, and they all justify it with their dogmatic book that they use to teach in. So my whole concept was, well, if there is in fact one supreme being, why 3 totally different books? And so my conclusion was, well, maybe the gods in the churches is the wrong God. We have a supreme God, and then we have these lesser gods that decided to do their own thing and wanted to have everybody follow, because I saw the purity in what we are, the love that we're supposed to have been created with. And what I recall in all of the religious texts is this one in the Torah, the fire and brimstone. We deal with the you'll be judged. When you leave here, that we have all of these different non-loving type of concepts, and I never could understand that. It didn't seem to make sense to me why we had that. So I finally came to the conclusion for myself, and again, this is only my thing, it's my belief, that we had a supreme being that created the universe and us and everything else, and somewhere along the line, the gods in these religious edifices was just the wrong God. That's all. And I'd be curious as to what your viewpoints are, because I find it very difficult to understand how it seems that every time I was in church, I was dealing with a very egotistical God, a God that had more human characteristics than it had God-like characteristics. And I really would like to believe that God has God-like characteristics, and that's what we should be aspiring to, is these God-like characteristics. But in the churches that I went to, it was more of a God had human characteristics such as ego and you needing worship and the fear and the fire and brimstone and the judgment and the disrespect and I said, wow, those are human things. We deal with that as humans. Why would a God do that? To me, I thought they would be above that. So that is where I came up with this as a concept. So again, your views. I know this. Everybody out there have different religions and different belief systems, but the state of the world that we're in, with its war and its hate and its fear and its discrimination and the killing and all of the justifications for that, we have all this judgment. That doesn't make sense to me for an all-loving God to be out there trying to get us to hate each other. I mean, if there is a God and he created all of us equally and in that image, well, it's not a physical image, obviously, because we all look different, but it has to be an image of some sort. So therefore, I would say that it would be more of the spiritual, the love type of image. So if that is the case, then why is the world in the state that it's in? And why are we taught to hate? And why are we taught to discriminate? It doesn't make sense. These are our brothers and sisters. If we all come from God, then we are all brothers and sisters. So why are we in that state? So that's what I wanted to really kind of talk about this evening, just to get an intro into this as to what some of the stuff that I want to talk about in Thinking Re-envisioned. That's why we called it Thinking Re-envisioned, because it's taking the way that we have learned and the way we think and saying we need to change this. We need to look at it differently. We need to perhaps take a step back and recognize what it is that we're doing. But it's not just with religion. I mean, we're dealing with politics and we're dealing with all of these other things that condone and push the hatred and the fear. I mean, and fear is a big issue here. I mean, when you really think about everything that's been going on in the world, um, and it's wrapped up in such a beautifully gift wrapped package by the people trying to present their case for it. But let's look at politicians, for example, and what they do. We have to be in a state of fear. That's part of the control. If we are fearful, we can be controlled. And I think that that's a large issue with what we're dealing with. And when we covered fear that one evening on it, and I know it was a major dissertation on my side of it. It was a lot to read, but at the same time, the points in it were fear is put on us, and everything targets our ego, and our ego doesn't want to be embarrassed because it has fear. I mean, the ego is trying to it's the competition, it's the competitiveness in us. So we want to be, macho, and we got to be out there, and so therefore we're not going to show the fear. Well, ego gets embarrassed if it's fearful. So what it does is it takes all of this stuff that's being pushed at it, all of the advertising that is being pushed to your ego, and it doesn't want to admit that it's feared. So it pushes us to react, and we do. And it causes us illness, it causes us stress, it causes us all of these issues. And that's what I'm saying, that we don't understand all of the ramifications of what is being done to us through the media, through politics, through the religious aspects, through everything. And that is the problem. And I think we need to learn. We need to start to pick this up and start to run with this and really take a good look at what it is we really were intending to do for ourselves. I mean, change is an extremely difficult process. I mean, I know I listened to Brian tonight, and I agree with him. Yes, just know, hey, mortal up. Thicken up the skin. Don't be taking it so serious. Don't take it so personal. And I do understand that. But I also understand throughout these past few decades of working with this and working with the people, most aren't ready. They are so accustomed to living for the future. I mean, this is why we have mortgages. It's because we have to have it now, but we're building for the future, that the value may go up. It's with that our ego has been played with, and we react based on keeping our ego from being embarrassed. And so this is what we do. And that's why we live the lives that we do under the stresses that we have. Of course, all of the belief systems that we have, because here you got some crazy guy from Cuenca sitting here saying that, oh my God, well, we have the gods that I worship in the churches. This is the wrong God. Well, what do you mean? I've been spending my whole life worshiping these gods, and they've done well for me. And I'm not going to give that up. I understand that. But until we do, we're still going to be thin-skinned. We're still going to be affected by fear. We're going to be controlled by the powers that be. We're going to be living in the hate and living in all of this stuff, the discrimination, and that's what I'm trying to say. It can't be right. It just doesn't seem like it can be right, and that's all I'm really trying to say. And I wish I had the thread going. I wish I was live here. I'm not on Facebook, but I don't even think I'm live on Facebook. I think we're okay. Well, it's not showing up on mine. I can't seem to get it to work. So anyway, we'll see what happens and see if this goes, and we'll see if I can bring it back up again. All righty, so let's get it to here, and let's refresh it again. Once it comes up, we'll just jump back in there and see, because that's okay. Let's bring it up. All right, there we go. That looks a little bit better. Now let's see who we've got on the thread. There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome. I knew you were out there. I just couldn't see you. So Marie, thanks again. Candace, great to see you. Joseph, thank you again for the message last night. I appreciate it. Brian, thank you very much for the encouragement. Candace, again, thank you. Marcia, I know you were out there. I thank you for being there. Alice, thank you so much. Jamie, I really appreciate it. Mary, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on there. And it's fun trying to catch back up again to what everybody has said. So let's see if we can catch up with whatever's maybe in there. Let's see. Candace may be the same God, but other cultures call him by a different name. I believe in God very much so, and as I do too. I mean, I really do too. I just don't believe the ones that are in this church that preach fear, that preach to kill, that preach all of this other stuff, and this that he's a very unforgiving God. That I'm sorry, I just don't buy all of that stuff. And so to me, that's why I say, yeah, I know the one that I deal with, but it isn't the one that I used to go to in the church. It's a totally different God. And I go through it, and I really look at it, and I understand. Let's see, Candace says, I believe the choices we make on this earth determines what our eternal life will be like, and that is extremely possible. It is really, really possible. Joseph says, everything in my life is filtered through the Bible. And I think that that's great, Joseph. I really do. I just have a question about the validity of the books that are written, because we have the Bible, we have the Quran, all supposed to be from the same God, giving the same message to the prophets. So did God mess up, or did the prophets mess up, or is it a different gods? And that's the thing that's what I'm trying to say. I just believe there is a supreme person, a supreme being that created the universe. And in doing so, that's my resource. Anybody else, any other place, any other edifice out there, any religious monument there, I just don't buy it, because it preaches different from the messages that we get from the Great Spirit. So we'll go at that. We'll go at that way. Candace says, God has answered so many prayers, and always loves me, and always there. Thank you, Candace. And yes, and he does, very much so. In fact, sometimes when we don't get an answer, that is an answer, and we mess that up too. Marcia says, God can be the majestic nature. Yep, the innocence of a child, the beauty of the sea, the marvelous universal things that guide you to be the good person. Thank you, Marcia. Well said. I like that. That's really cool. The God of the New Testament is the same as the God of the Old Testament. The Bible says that he never changes. God mercifully forgave Israel over and over in the Old Testament, and he also showed righteous wrath in the New Testament. Exactly. And again, how could a God, an all-loving God, smite? How can an all-loving God be shower righteousness, but then also place one people above another? He created everybody. So how could one people be raised up a level of, to be more pleasing to God? I don't get that. I don't buy it. It just doesn't make sense. I believe we were all made equal. All that does is create that class distinction and places a person, a group of people above others. And I don't think that that's what was ever intended by the creation of us. I don't think anyone here was ever meant to be subservient. Nobody was ever meant to be above anybody else. And so that's why I say, I think that there's a tremendous discord in all of this. And I think that would be a great way to answer that, Candace, is let's say, in my opinion. And I question exactly, who are the ones running the churches? Like I said, I deal with spirit directly. That's who I talk to. That's where I get my guidance from. I don't get it out of a book. I don't get it out of a church. I don't get it anywhere. I get it from the source. And that's how I run my life. That's how I live. That's where I come up with most of this stuff, is that it is given to me to question this, question that, question this, always question. And that's where Thinking Re-envisioned came from. We question everything, and that's where I get it from. Yeah. But I think the term, Joseph, I agree. What Joseph said was he created the devil. And that's what the books say. And I question that. Because, as I mentioned in my thing where Jesus had his he was tried, his trials with the devil, where he sat there with the devil and was able to push the devil off by making sure that he answered the things that Satan was trying to get him to do. And he did it. He did it 3 times. And what I say is that it is the three things that he did against the devil was simply against his ego. He fought his ego and he won. and that is the only difference between us and Jesus, for that matter, is the fact that he did that, and it was his own ego, and that to me is what the devil really is. It's our ego. That's the part of us that we have to keep fighting, the part we have to keep suppressed. So, and that's how I interpret all of that. At least that's the messages I've gotten. So that's how I go with that, Joseph. So thank you, but thank you very much. Dora, welcome. It's great to see you, Dora. Wow, great. Thank you for joining us. And let's see. Candace says, I believe I can save myself. Jesus Christ is my Savior, and I love God, and I don't have to go to church. There you go. Gotcha. You're talking to the right one. Thank you very much, Candace. I appreciate that. All righty. I know I'm running down out of time here. I've got my brother sitting here with his hands on his head, so I know he's probably getting ready. Oh, okay, good. Still got 3 minutes. Great. Oh, he'll yell at me. That was the message. He'll yell at me. He'll let me know. 2 minutes. Ah, boy, I lost a minute just like that. I think I fell asleep. Amnesia. Brian, how do you handle all that amnesia? So yeah, I know it's a tough subject to deal with because we have so many belief systems, but our belief systems is what's created the world we live in, and that is the direct correlation I have come up with our belief systems. It's our belief systems on how we were raised, and all of this is what's created the world that we live in. And if we want to change this, we have to change. We have to look at our way we've lived our lives, the things that we believe in, the stuff that we put our trust in. We have to question that. We really have to start looking at that, because there should be there's no misinterpretation when you get it from source. There is no way you can misquestion it. It is the way it is. So, okay, I've just been told to start counting down. So I'm not going to count down, but I guess I'll start saying goodnight. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Again, thank you. I should, Henry, listen, can't say I should, but I can't take the hypocrites fighting it. There you are. No, you're right. I don't think you need to go to church. Church's not the issue. It's what your information you're getting from the source, Candace. It's what's God telling you. And it's not the edifice. You are the church. You are the temple. You're where God resides. That's what I meant by what's his address. He's in you. And that's where it belongs. It's not in the church. They're in you. So anyway, everybody, tomorrow is it's free for all Thursday. So start thinking of the questions you want to throw out there and cover anything you want to that we have, or bring up some new stuff. So tomorrow, free for all Thursday. I look forward to seeing you there. Have fun. Hasta luego. And good night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.